You're close with Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez of New York. Some of your fellow House Democrats say, and not just progressives, by the way, we've heard that moderates have said this too, that they're ready to support her to challenge Chuck Schumer in a Democratic primary. Would you get behind that?
That's 4 years from now. If you were asking me at least in 2 years, then I would have an absolute answer. But I can tell you that there are a lot of people that are watching his leadership in this moment. This is the moment. We don't even know what elections will look like in 4 years, if we will have elections. And so I definitely think that younger, fresher leadership may be something that many of us, not just depending on what part of the spectrum you're on, but many Americans may be looking for, especially in the state of New York.
Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett tried to dodge the question, but couldn't help but to let it be known that Chuck Schumer isn't very popular over his decision to vote for Trump's budget that basically endorses what he and Elon have been doing.
While voting for this CR is bad, it's a whole lot worse to vote to shut down the government. Elon Musk, Doge, and Donald Trump will use the power to shut down the government to fire hundreds of thousands, if not millions of workers, shut down whole departments, and shrink the government for tax cuts for billionaires. It will be devastating, something like we have never seen before. One of the worst things? Courts could run out of money in a few weeks. One of the few refuges we've had to stop the autocratic, vicious proposals of Trump and Musk and Doge have been the courts. And so this shutdown, the idea of a shutdown, is atrocious across the board. We have to stop it. Shutting down the government will be terrible. They could stay in shutdown for weeks, months, even years. And one of the Republican senators just told some of our senators, if you go in shutdown, it's going to be months before we open up the government. And we have no way to stop them. There's no exit ramp. It'll be totally up to them when to open up the government. Shutdowns with autocrats, vicious people, nasty people like Musk and Trump and Doge in charge is disaster for us.
He laid out his case with just the right amount of politically acceptable fury. But people watching almost all those things he just warned about actually happening right in front of us anyway aren't buying it.
Americans' favorable views of the Democratic Party's brand are at a record low, just 29%. That's compared to 36% for Republicans. It is the lowest ever recorded for Democrats in CNN polling going back more than 30 years. As you can see, the party's numbers dropping a staggering 20 points in just 4 years. The CNN SRSR's poll also found 57% of Democrats and Democratic-leaning voters are more interested in seeing their party leaders stop the GOP agenda, compared to 42% who are more interested in cutting bipartisan deals.
The view voters have of each party, neither is good, but look at the numbers here for Democrats. 27% positive, more than double 55% negative. And we'll just put this on a graph for you in our poll here. This goes back a long ways, and you can see the trend line for both parties. This is what's happened to the Democrats since the election.
That is astonishing, Steve. That's an historic low, right?
That is in more than 30 years of this poll. We've never seen either party hit a number this low in terms of negatives here. A lot of that negative rating, it's coming from Democrats themselves, and a lot of that is coming from Democrats who say the party is being too cooperative in their view with Donald Trump.
The dive isn't just from Chuck Schumer's and 10 other Senate Democrats' latest decision to vote for Trump's funding bill. The heat has been on ever since Americans have sat and watched Democrats sing songs on the House floor while Elon Musk and Doge fire very important federal employees and shut down agencies that protect them. They also didn't enjoy the fact that several Democrats joined Republicans to censure Congressman Al Green for purposely getting thrown out of Trump's speech to Congress in protest of his desire to dismantle Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid. Leadership has tried almost nothing but complain that they've totally run out of ideas.
Chuck Schumer is selling out the people of D.C. and the people of this country. He's selling out working people, young people. He's not standing up.
We are here in front of Chuck Schumer's office to send a clear message that young people want him to stand up. Step up or step aside. Generations is way on you at or step aside.
I'm here for all of the students, all the teachers in the schools that I was with who are going to get defunded by the things that are going on. Chuck Schumer needs to stand up.
And while protesters from the Sunrise Movement got arrested and voiced their concerns, it highlights who Schumer seems to be afraid of angering and who he isn't. But many others in the party are paying attention to the majority that aren't being heard.
House Democratic leader Hakeem Jeffries was asked if he has confidence in Leader Schumer, and he said, next question. He effectively dodged the question multiple times. So let me put this question to you. Do you have confidence in Leader Schumer's leadership?
So Leader Schumer has a very difficult job. I don't envy the job that he has. And the question is really for the members of his Democratic caucus. Are we willing to fight, right? I admit that it would take some risk-tolerant behavior in order to effectively stand up to this president. And so the question really is for my party writ large, are we willing to do the very difficult things necessary to meet this moment?
Do you think that Leader Schumer is the best person to lead your caucus in this moment?
Senator Schumer certainly can lead this caucus.
Is he the best person?
He can lead this caucus, but we need to have a conversation inside the caucus about whether we are willing to stand up to Republicans.
Chris Murphy has been one of the most direct and vocal Democrats that's been out here identifying this administration's actions and opposing them in plain terms. He wasn't all that direct here, so Kristen Welker asked him again.
Just yes or no before we move on. Do you have confidence in Leader Schumer?
I still support Senator Schumer as leader, but I think the only way that we are going to be effective as a caucus is if we change our tactics, and we have to have a conversation.
Many of your supporters responded online saying you should replace Leader Schumer. Is that something that you would consider? Would you consider that role?
I mean, I don't think anybody's having that conversation right now. What's important is that we meet this moment. And what I'm telling you is that if we continue to observe norms, if we continue to engage in business as usual, this democracy could be gone. I don't think we have a year to save American democracy. I think the way the president is acting, using law enforcement to target dissidents, harassing TV stations and radio stations that criticize him, endorsing political violence, puts our democracy at immediate risk. So if you are a Democrat in the Senate or in the House, you have to start acting with urgency.
Similarly to Jasmine Crockett, I think Murphy couldn't help but to acknowledge that he and others want to start fighting back as a party. Rather than as rebels here and there, they get abandoned by leadership when Republican spin machines scare them. Even some members that represent the traditionally tepid energy Democrats have can't deny the reality.
You know, Hakeem Jeffries did a great job bringing the House Democrats together. All but one voted to not give a blank check to this president. And then it goes to the Senate. For the first 24 hours, they seem to be on board, and then all of a sudden, there's this change. What happened in the 24-hour period, I'm not sure.
There has been reporting about mumbling within the caucus about the possibility, an appetite for primarying Senator Schumer. Are you hearing those same whispers? Do you think that is the conversation Democrats should be having right now?
I'm not saying that Democrats should be having that conversation, but I do know this. The Democrats some Democrats are having that conversation. This democracy is a threat, and everything we do, it should be focused on the fact that we are going to have to do the things that are necessary to preserve this democracy to continue. Right now, I'm not too sure that we're in that place.
So Schumer might be on the verge of getting that Joe Biden treatment, where he and others applied pressure to a guy that just couldn't lead the party anymore. Because right now, it seems like he's comfortable getting the same kind of reception as the people that he's reluctant to fight harder against.
Where it gets complicated for Trump, the man who's leading Doge, negative 51%,
wow.
A majority negative rating for Elon Musk right here. Also, federal workers, we just asked folks, do you have a positive, negative view? Much more positive than negative in terms of federal workers. And then for Trump, there is, we say, not slippage since the election, but the warning signs. And it's on broader areas of his leadership. Look at this. And all of these areas you see right here, Kristen, foreign policy, the Russia-Ukraine war, majority disapproval at this point for Trump.
And the economy is a red flag because that's the lowest number we have seen on the economy in the history of our poll for President Trump.